Do we know anyone?
Yes.
Oh, sure. Gosh, I could go back to my college roommate. We went to high school together too, and I had no idea. Beautiful girl. I mean, fun. Like, she was our homecoming queen. Carol and I went to school together, and she was bipolar.
Same
But
with,
she wasn't even diagnosed until right after we graduated.
same with the girl in town, Abby. 20 some gathering?
It may have started prior to that, but that's when we knew her.
No.
Yes.
Why?
That's okay. Well, because I worked at Carrier Clinic, and I happened to know when I worked on the substance abuse unit that a lot of people with addictions with substance abuse and also alcohol addiction also suffered from bipolar, and vice versa. When I was on the other units, the psychiatric units, they did it did go hand in hand. It didn't seem to go hand in hand with Carol, my roommate, but we don't know. I mean, maybe we didn't know her to that. We knew her during the daytime. We don't know what she did at nighttime, but her behavior, you know, when she didn't appear to be suffering from bipolar, when she was under control, she was great. When she stopped her medication, she fell quickly. Well, okay, for example, Carol, I remember when we were in college and her boyfriend broke up with her. I couldn't believe her reaction to it. I mean, she couldn't leave the room for days. She cried in the corner, and I never knew that side of her. And so I think, yeah, did that trigger it? Sure. Kara, right? When Kara's dad got sick, Kara being a close friend of the family, my daughter's friend, her dad got sick, and I believe she was already deteriorating. She was manic for a long time, which appeared to be precious, really. You know, same with Carol, my roommate. You know, she seemed to be so fun and a ridiculous amount of energy. You know, you started to wonder, wow, you know, why aren't I that passionate about everything? And then, but just super fun. And Kara was too, talking. And the manic phase was great, even with Kara, until it started to get a bit much. But when her dad got sick and she went to Florida to be with him, she fell apart. She couldn't handle something that wasn't going well. He was very sick, and that's when that was the worst Kara ever was. That was, I believe, that was when she actually found out, was diagnosed with bipolar disorder. She got absolutely out of control to the fact that she got violent. She didn't make sense.
Yeah, she lost it.
She lost it when she came back and
came
we
to work.
saw
She
her.
had no idea what was going on, and very delusional.
She was even unrecognizable. It's just, I mean, from a girl who was so who kept herself so well, you know, she looked crazed. Her hair was unkempt, her clothes were unkempt. She was dirty. I mean, and she was not that girl. She really struggled, and also, you know, came over one day claiming that her mother actually had a disorder. But yes, I believe that was triggered. I think she was on her way, but not to that extent until her dad got sick. Yeah, that's what brought that about. I don't know what triggered Abby's. Abby's, I think, was triggered. She had already been diagnosed.
She just wasn't taking her medication, right?
Right. She was a customer at our restaurant, Abby. Adorable when she was fine. But always a little too talkative, but so. And but she believed that she was well, that she didn't need her medication, that she had it under control, as does happen with a lot of people who are mentally ill. Once they feel good for a prolonged period of time on the medication, they believe they can handle it on their own. And Abby went as far as, when she was delusional, to tell us that, everyone in this town is mentally ill. Everyone except her was mentally ill in the town. It got very bad. Eventually, she had to go away and get it back together, which she had in the past. And Carol, my roommate, when we graduated and she was diagnosed and she was put on the medication, I'm sure she has setbacks now and then, but she has a very functional life. I mean, she's married with 2 children, has a good job. I mean, as long as it's, my belief is, as long as it's contained, as long as you take your medication, you can be very functional and live an otherwise, normal as possible life. I hate to even say that because I'm sure it's a struggle for them every day. When she was finally diagnosed with it, we had just graduated and she had moved into an apartment with a friend of ours, and I had moved in with another friend, and it wasn't, and I remember Anne telling me that she had been through something, again, it was a relationship issue, and Carol, she didn't know what to do to help Carol. She didn't know what was going on. She stopped going to work. She kept the lights out all the time. She wouldn't leave the house. She stayed in her room she couldn't get her out of her room. So finally, after about several days, maybe even longer, she called her parents in New Jersey. We were in North Carolina. She called her parents, and Carol's mom and dad went and got her, and they're the ones who took her to the hospital, and they had figured it out and got her under control. So yes, depression. I suppose, that appeared to me to be depression.
Of course it affects the family. Every illness affects everybody around you, and you usually don't know it when it's happening to you. You think it's all about you, but it affects everybody around you. Everybody worries. For example, with Abby, everybody said, when she shows up, nobody wants to be with her, but when we don't see her, everybody's worried about her. So.
But more than that, I mean, even with, oh my gosh, when I think about Kara, that was devastating for all of us, much more so, of course, for her mother, and her family, also for her close friends who, can I say, you happen to be probably her best friend at the time. It was devastating. You had never seen anything like what she was suffering at her worst. She thought we were all robots. She was so delusional, and that was terrifying to see somebody, that you were so close to, and, had shared your innermost thoughts, and spent so much time with, to go there. It doesn't even seem real. But the interesting thing about Kara's, when she got well, and I found this fascinating, really, that she remembered a lot of that. So, say, just from my experience at Carrier, you don't always remember a lot of that. But when you do, that's horrifying too. To remember the things that you've said to your family and friends, and to know what they know about you, to see you like that. I think, quite frankly, I think it's terrible that once you go to get the help in a facility, I don't think you should be allowed to call on family and friends, maybe family, but certainly not anyone outside of family to see you in that condition, because people can judge, and people, I'm sure, do judge. Kara was very fortunate to have a friend like you who did not judge, and that really shows the kind of person that you are. Because people who suffer from mental illness, sadly, I'm sure, lose a lot of relationships as a result of it.
Yes and no. Right?
Yeah, I think, oh gosh, that could be a royal, if you want to get into that, but we won't, yes, yes, in the fact that, once you get there into, a mental health facility for something like bipolar, different. On some other things I don't necessarily agree on, but with bipolar, yeah, I mean, once that's diagnosed, that's a matter of, letting somebody clear enough, getting them on the right medication until they're well enough to go back out into their life. And do I think that is the way? Sure, I do. I don't know any other way to get bipolar or some of the other mental illnesses under control. I'm not a big component of taking a lot of medications, but for certain things, thank God, really, that we have them. So yes, I think that's, now, when we think of Abby, should she, everyone knew she had bipolar disorder, and she had been previously diagnosed with bipolar disorder. So do I think when the public sees somebody deteriorating like that, should even, the police even have a responsibility to help someone like that before it goes too far and they perhaps hurt themselves or someone else or destroy their reputation through their behavior? Do I think that somebody should feel obligated or be obligated to get them help before it gets that out of control? Yes, and I don't think that's fair. I wish that we could help people before they absolutely, harmed themselves and their reputation and others.